Hickok 45 here with the ultimate pot smoker. I got a little pot with that one, and it's still smoking. Black powder and clay pot. Yes, Hickok 45. Having a little fun with some black powder and an old, it's not a revolver, is it? An old pistol, an old single shot pistol. 1836, US 1836, military pistol. Pretty cool. It ought to be safe because once it has fired, you're not going to get a double tap out of it. So we're going to shoot this a couple of times. I have had this since back in the fall, and we've come so close to doing videos with it several times. I've forgotten everything I know about it, but we're going to bring it out today or bust. You know, I've been anxious to show it to you. I think you might have even seen it in a video or two. Now it's going to be a real shock. I love these old guns, but I don't want to be shooting just these old guns, okay? This is a US model, 1836. This one was made by Robert Johnson. Y'all knew him, right? Yeah, he went to school over in East Tennessee. No, he sounded like somebody we'd all know, right? Robert Johnson, like Bill Smith. But he was one of the makers, and Asa Waters was another. Combined, they made about 40,000 of them, I read. This one, now a lot of it you can't see. This was made in 1840. You can see that in Connecticut. Johnson was in Middleton, Connecticut, I believe, and he made them there. So this is a Robert Johnson one. They're very similar. Of course, they're, I think all of them, about 40,000 or so, were made by those two entities, Asa Waters, and he was in Massachusetts. But they made these babies in 1830s, and they, guess what? Isn't that a cool little piece of brass there? That's just for decoration. They thought that would be cool. Actually, that's a made-up story. That is where they converted it from flintlock to caplock. Most of these you see, gun shows, antique shows, they will look kind of like that. They will have been converted to caplock because they started out as a flintlock pistol, okay? And even though the caplock, these little boogers, they were around, the cap percussion technology since the 1820s, believe it or not, this will be a shocker to you, the U.S. was slow to take on the new technology, the high-tech technology of percussion ignition. And, you know, the military is always slow to adopt new, generally slow to adopt new things like that. Sometimes it's with good reason, but a lot of times it's not. You know, we've heard over and over through the years how they were slow to accept, I would say, multiple or rapid firing firearms that held multiple rounds, okay, like lever guns and things like that. They thought their soldiers would use too much ammo, waste ammo, right? But then later they realized, hey, we need to be using that. So, but anyway, the military was issuing flintlock pistols up until, well, this was the last one. As I understand, this was kind of a transition firearm because they started out as flintlocks, and then after the Mexican-American War in around 1846, 1848, long in there, they got all these and converted them. Okay, so I say most of these you'll see are caplock. So they converted them, and then they were still in use, of course, and some of them were in use in the Civil War. They still issued some of them, or they had some for use. So they started life as a flintlock and ended life. Well, this one hasn't ended life. Yeah, it has. It's not going to end for a long time, but now they are caplocks for the most part. Okay, percussion. And you know, and easier to use. Obviously, percussion is more reliable, you know, not as sensitive to weather and rain and all that kind of thing. But they're smooth bore. I don't think any of them were rifled. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys that are real experts in this sort of thing. But this thing is kind of cool. I've always thought they were cool. And years ago, I'd see these. And, of course, we know it's empty because it fired once, right? Does anybody need verification it's empty? Let me check the chamber. Look down through the nipple. I always thought this was kind of interesting. I never was sure what the heck that was. Well, they call that a swivel rammer or ramrod. And And so you've always got your ramrod with you. Look at that. See, you just bring it around there. How clever is that? It's like something John and I would come up with, right? Then you just put it away. You got to work it right. It's like a puzzle. See, now that's not right. You want this like that, just to keep it down there and out of the way. You put that back in there. So you always have your rammer, and you can't lose it. Okay, pretty cool. Now I'm not going to use it much to load. I'm just going to shoot 2 or 3 times. I just really wanted to introduce you to this, and a kind of reminder of the history of the firearms and military firearms. Again, this is another one of those evil military assault weapons. Okay, started out as a flintlock, so this is a transitional firearm. This was the last of the flintlocks, and you'll probably see them. You can look it up, look for a picture of it. You might see one at a gun show. It's still a flintlock that was not converted, and I think they command a higher dollar because they're still original. I didn't care. I just thought it was cool. Found it in Tulsa at the gun show, and just thought that I might need this for a new carry gun, you know, even though it's a smooth bore. The bore's not in bad shape. It's a little pitted. I'll show you, and they're kind of awkward to load. Boy, I'd hate to do that on horseback, and man, what a thought. I just carry about 10 of them. You know, that's what I would do. So now I fired it once. Okay, I'll put it on half cock, and I'm not going to run anything down the bore. I'm just going to put some powder in there. I'm shooting 40 grains. I think you could step it up a little, maybe if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. But I'm going to shoot 40 grains. That's what I had the first time around there. Definitely had plenty of time to cool off, hasn't it? 40 grains of 2F. And I put a ball. I'm going to use a patch ball to make it a little tighter. These are 530 diameter. And with a patch, they seem about right. So now the first one went in easier than that. See, this from one shot is kind of dirty. I'm going to use this. This is from the Howdah pistol. I'm going to ram it down with that. There we go, all the way down. Yeah, it gets dirty quick. I think because the barrel is slightly pitted, not bad, but it's kind of a rough bore. It probably doesn't affect accuracy at all because it is a smooth bore. But you know, it kind of is what it is. And it's hard for us to imagine because you probably have a Glock 19 on you right now, or an M&P or something like that. And you think, wow, you're unarmed with that. But you're really not. Think back in 1836, 1840, 1850, Civil War. You've got that muzzle-loading rifle. You've seen, you know, me shoot those, in fact, recently. And if you had this, you know, you had an extra shot. You had twice as much ammo at your ready, at your side, you know, with your rifle. And if you had one of these in your belt, I don't have a cap on it, so I'm not messing around too much, but you can stick that in your belt or a holster or whatever. You've got another round. Could be pretty important. You have doubled your combat effectiveness, right? So you wouldn't be shooting at 100 yards with this thing. You know, and we're not going to shoot that many times, so I don't know if I'll shoot over there or not, but we're going to just shoot here close. And I have shot it. I've shot it several times, and it does okay if you're, you know, within, you know, whatever, 10, 20 yards or something. Let's put a cap on it and try it again. Okay, I'll do the half cock so nobody cries. All right, put a musket cap on it. Now I'm going to punt it down range. Make sure that's seated well. Okay, we're on half cock. Now let's just let's shoot that stop sign. That's pretty bad. I'm not sure where I went. I've been hitting the stop sign. I've been hitting large targets at reasonable distances, I will say. But that's how easy it is to miss. I actually was using more instinct than sight. There's no real sight. So that was not an accurate example of how it does. Now I've got to be careful here. I got a patch stuck in this thing, and I could not get it out. I had to take it to a friend of mine who's a gunsmith to get it out. I get the rammer stuck in with it. I have warned y'all about that, how difficult that is, or easy it is to do sometimes. So you got to be careful about putting a dry patch in there, unless you're going to put a lot of lube in with it or something, which I don't want to do right now. I don't want to have to dry it out again. I just want to get the worst of that out. Okay. Okay, you see, black powder is lovely stuff, isn't it? Lovely stuff. So let's put some more in. I can hit something better than that. We might go to the paper over there. So what have I not told you about it? I don't know everything about it. I just know that it was issued in the Mexican-American War, and I think to the Dragoons, the U.S. Dragoons, and to so the mounted rifles I read that carried it, and as in a flintlock version at that point. So it was actually an issue firearm, just as the Colt single action was later to the cavalry, and the 1911, and then the Beretta 92. So this just goes back in time as one of the issue handguns. So it's kind of interesting. I guess we better put a ball in. I'm using a fairly thin patch here. Was it 0110? I don't know. It seemed to work okay, so I'm just sticking with this. Having a much tighter fit isn't going to help that much in terms of accuracy. So it doesn't really matter. Now I could pull the rammer out. Okay, let's use that. It's kind of neat the way that works. But now, there we go. Push it down with that. Pound on it a little bit. Make sure it's down there all the way. There's another piece you could screw into that. But all right, put that away so we don't lose it, which can't happen. That's pretty clever. It really is. All right. That was pretty bad, wasn't it? Let's go here on this paper. Okay. Now I know I'll hit the paper somewhere. I'm going to actually look down through there and kind of sight it and see where it goes. That wasn't too bad. Or when I was shooting at the stop sign, I should have hit it actually too. Because the first shot I took with it, I got down there about the timbers and I hit the cowboy, and so it actually has some effective use at close range, and that's obviously what it's designed for. So when the enemy is on you or really close, it beats having to pull out your Bowie knife yet, because you've got another shot. Or maybe if you're carrying several of them, you got more than that. So pretty interesting. It's all steel. That's not stainless, of course. And you got to keep her wiped down, keep her from rusting. And it's an interesting pistol. Like I said, they were used later in the Civil War. And not everybody didn't have one, but they were put into use because that was pretty much the technology of the day. And unless you get your hands on a Colt 1860 or a Remington, or obviously you had your revolvers, held 6 shots and all that. But if you didn't have one of those and you had one of these, it'd be having nothing. So not bad. Let's reload it at least once more. Okay. It's like there's something I wanted to mention. I forgot what it was. Probably a lie, right? But so anyway, this firearm is kind of interesting because it does represent the transition from flintlock to caplock, and because it was both. It was both. 40 grains. That seemed like a nice, comfortable load to shoot. Probably 41 grains would be more accurate, right? Oh yeah, we need to put a scope on this thing and see if we can get some long range accuracy out of it. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm in there pretty well. Yeah, oh, rough bore, I tell you. Make sure it's down there. Okay. That's the thing about black powder. You want to make sure the ball is all the way down. And I think that's kind of all the way down. Let me make sure. Get my long ramrod out here. Biggest mistake you can make with a muzzle loader is not having, it's down there all the way. Okay, the round all the way down. All right, what should I shoot? I probably got time for 2 shots. So let's put the cowboy out of his misery. And then I'm gonna sling one at no, let's do that now. Let's sling one at the gong, just for the heck of it. Okay? It might end up in Nashville, so I'll be careful. Okay, well, I haven't shot it over there. It's probably going to lose a lot of momentum, so I'm going to hold above the gong, and we'll see where it goes. Again, it's a smooth bore. Hopefully we'll be able to see where it hits. Probably not. Well, I'll have to look at the video. You might have seen where it went. I didn't hear the gong ring, let's put it that way. But we're going to make that cowboy ring if I have to get right up on him. Okay? So, pretty cool. Yeah, I really messed this thing. What I was doing was just shooting a couple of times. Oh, it's been about a week or so ago. And actually, I'm not even sure I had fired a shot that day. And I was just running a patch through the bore. And I didn't have this rod out here, and I was using this, and it's a little small. And I thought, well, let me just use the rammer you're supposed to use with it. And so I put a big patch on it, and I rammed it all the way down in there, and I couldn't budge it. Even with pliers, and I patted that thing. I put a lot of muscle in it, couldn't budge it a bit. Soaked it. I put a lot of Ballistol down in there. I thought, well, that'll make it come out in a day or two, if nothing else. Still could not budge it. So I took it with my tail between my legs. I drove over to a local gunsmith and said, hey, can you do anything? Don't tell anybody, but could you fix this for me? No, I didn't tell him that. Everybody knows I ain't too smart, but he did. It just didn't matter. He had a device for pulling, a puller he had come up with that got it out of there. And I have warned you, I know in a video recently, I talked about that very thing with a rifle, being careful putting that patch down in there with the rod if it's really dirty and dry and everything is dry, because it'll get so tight you just cannot pull it back out. John and I have had to go through that before, where he's not when it's loaded, of course. It wouldn't be loaded, he wouldn't be running, just cleaning it. But one of us have to grab the rifle and the other one the ramrod and take a lot of strength to get it out. So it's just always an issue with muzzle loading. You all have done it, know what I'm talking about. So everybody that has messed with these things very much, that has happened to you, and you probably have dryballed somewhere along the way, even if you won't admit it, right? So, okay. So anyway, we got her back in shape. And in fact, we were going to do a video with it that afternoon. And guess what? We didn't want to show it to you all. Let's put some powder in it. Don't want to forget the powder. Me standing right here yakking. I guess I ought to preach to you a little bit more about the joys of black powder. I do that in every black powder video, don't I? Every muzzle loading video. So I might as well preach a little bit in this. Yeah, this is fun. Believe it or not, it's fun. Messing with black powder, muzzle loaders is enjoyable. And the weather's nice especially. It's just an enjoyable thing to do. There's be our last ball. Hit or miss, our last one. Keeping you all late. John and I are hungry. We got to get to dinner. I use this big rod. Make sure it's down in there. There we go. I think I have shown you this before. Getting a patch stuck in there, and it's all the way down. Of course, there's no cap on it. I guess I shouldn't stick this in there. It's kind of loaded, but then it's not. But see this corkscrew on there? If you get a patch stuck in there, that's not a problem. In fact, I did that before the video. You just put that down in there, as you can see, and you just turn it, it's like a corkscrew, and dig into the patch and pull it straight back out. So that's never an issue, really, if you have one of those attachments. It's when you got the rod in there with it that is the problem. Okay, all good things must come to an end eventually, right? Even the life of a steel cowboy. All right. Let's go down and take care of the cowboy. I am not going to trust that I can hit him from up here. We'll save that pot for another day and finish him off with something else. All right, Mr. Cowboy. Don't make me look bad now again. I want to hit you. All right, we got him. We got him. So boom. So, you just have to, aim a little bit, get familiar with it, and it would be an effective combat tool, right? The 1836. And of course there were models before this, flintlock pistols, you know, go way back, flintlock rifles and everything. But this was the last one, the 1836 model that was actually manufactured, you know, to issue to troops and that were used and carried in the Mexican-American War. And then after that even, you know, and I think it was in, like the late 40s, 1850, the government called all of them in, and I think even the rifles, and they said, okay guys, I guess it's time to convert to percussion since it's been around now for, what, about 20 years at least. So let's just go percussion and get away from this flash in the pan stuff, and that's what they did. And so they're still good pistols, as you can see, even if it won't, or I can't hit a gong with it maybe. You know, still effective. It's smooth bore, so you know it's a close range firearm anyway. But it shoots a pretty big ball. Did I say this is 54 caliber? Okay, I think all of these, the Waters and the Johnson, the 1836, I believe they were all 54 caliber, and it works out great because I have the Hawken in 54 caliber, so I have ammunition for it, right? And you can adjust that if the ball's a little small or large. You can put a thinner patch. You know, you wouldn't even have to use a patch really if it was the ball was kind of tight to begin with. But a patch probably works a little better. Anyway, I can't think of anything else that you're dying to know about it other than it would make a good carry gun. Go to your local gun shop, tell them you would like one of these and a holster for it, and see if they'll let you go through the carry class with it. Okay. I want you to do that. 1836, that's what you want to ask for. The United States 1836 pistol. Try to get a flintlock that make a better defensive firearm because, you know, it's going to fire in two different places and make a lot of flash and smoke and, you know, scare anybody off. I was joking for those who are a little more gullible than others, but a pretty neat piece of history, and I just love old firearms like this that are historical. It doesn't bother me that it's converted. I mean, that doesn't ruin it. That's part of the history as well. You know, the fact that it's converted to percussion, because most of them, I think I'm correct in saying most of them were, and they were still used. So it's pretty neat. And I don't even have to tell you, you get to shoot stuff like this, life is good.
Hey, how you guys doing? Just here practicing a little guitar. As you can tell, I need to get better. Just on the range hanging out. But I wanted to let you guys know while I'm here, since you guys just stumbled in on my practice session, about our friends over at SDI. You can check them out at sdi.edu. That's the Sonoran Desert Institute. They're a fully accredited online distance learning program where you can be certified in gunsmithing or you can get an associate's degree in firearms technology. That's sdi.edu. Also, don't forget about our friends over at vaulteksafe.com. You've seen their safes, the Vaultek, on our shooting table. So don't forget to check them out if you get a chance. And also all of our other social media entities. We are on Patreon now, so you can find us on Patreon. There'll be links in the description. Just Hickok45 on Patreon. We are on Facebook, of course, Hickok45 on Facebook. You can also find Hickok45 on Instagram, the real Hickok45 at Instagram, Hickok45 on Twitter, full30.com, and then I have some social media stuff, John_Hickok45 on Instagram, John Hickok on Facebook, and there's also a Hickok45 and Son Facebook, and the Hickok45 and Son YouTube channel, of course. And I guess that's all I can think of for now. I believe that's all of our different social media things. So I guess I'll get back to my practice. As you can tell, I need to get a lot better, but I think I'm improving just a little bit. I don't know, we'll see.